Welcome back, guys. As we said in the agenda, we're first going to introduce you to a few key concepts that we need to use in this tutorial. The first thing is an introduction to REST-assured. REST-assured is a Java library. It's something you can import in your code and then use its classes and methods. REST-assured provides you with a way to write powerful, maintainable tests for REST APIs. Using this library, you can create tests that can interact with any API that you need to test. It behaves like a headless client to access REST APIs. You might have used tools like Postman. They are tools which let you interact with APIs in a visual manner. You have a UI in which you can create get, post, put, or delete commands. You can set the data that you want to send to it and you see what response you get back. REST-assured gives you a headless client to access those APIs. REST-assured also provides you an ability to validate HTTP responses. You can assert on the responses that you expect. The content of the responses can be extracted and then compared against what the expected criteria is. But apart from creating tests, you can also use REST-assured as a library for interacting with an API. For example, if you have UI-based tests for which you want to create test data using non-UI methods, some kind of endpoint or some kind of an API, you can use REST-assured in your projects. For example, if you have to create a user before a certain user can take some UI actions, you want to log in as that user, or at the end of the test, you want to destroy the test data that you have created for that specific test, and you have an API or some other endpoints you can call to do this task. Instead of using the UI, you can use REST-assured for that purpose. Here's an example of REST-assured. This is an example API. You make a get call to an endpoint /employee/ID, the ID of the employee. And this API returns you a JSON object with the first name and the last name of the employee. And you want to test that, then you have code in REST-assured that looks like this. So REST-assured gives you a way of writing your tests in a BDD style structure. So you can give given, when, and then sections. Here in this example, in given, we set that the content type is going to be JSON. When I make that endpoint API call, so we make the call to /employee/emps123, that's the employee ID. Then we expect the status code to be 200. That's the first assertion that we make. And in the body, the path at first name should equal to John, and the path last name should equal to Doe. This is the very basic of REST-assured. Of course, you can browse through the Java docs for it, and you can read up on all the options that you have. The next part of this tutorial is the GitHub Gist API. First thing is, what are GitHub Gists? It's a way of letting you share small notes or code snippets with the rest of the world. What is the GitHub Gist API? It's basically an API to create, update, and delete gists. You can use the UI to create your gists or interact with them, but you can also use this API. Why have we chosen to use this API for our testing? It is a stable API. It's available 24/7, and you can always create a free GitHub account. It is high availability, high reliability API, and so it's a good choice for an API for creating and running tests against. Now that we have the basics covered, we'll go on and start creating our tests.